What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. The most anticipated fight in recent memory is on the doorstep of finally coming to fruition. We just need to knock on that door and open it, and hopefully we get Spence Jr., WBC, IBF, and WBA welterweight champion, holding 3 of the 4 major belts. Top 5 pound-for-pound fighter taking on the WBO welterweight champion, number 2 pound-for-pound fighter. In my opinion, number 1 on the pound-for-pound list, Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, there's a few things that got to get ironed out. There's a few obstacles that must get cleared for this fight to finally come to fruition. Number 1 thing that is not a problem is the 50-50. That's no longer an obstacle, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of the Spence fans were saying that Crawford was going to have to humble himself and take 70-30 or take 60-40. I even heard it as high as 80-20. That's no longer an issue. Spence Jr. last fight with Jordanis Ugas, which was a unification fight, was a 50-50 pay-per-view split. Spence Jr. got 1.5 guaranteed minimum, and Jordanis Ugas got a 1 million guaranteed minimum. And the guaranteed minimum is the obstacle, monetarily wise, that needs to be cleared. Because Terrence Crawford, last fight versus Sean Porter, made $6 million. He's not going to get a guaranteed minimum of $6 million. He's going to have to take a lower guaranteed minimum than what he made in his last fight, which he feels is a lesser fight than the fight he's going to take on now if he gets that fight. So they're going to have to convince Terrence Crawford to take a lesser guarantee than what he made in the Porter fight. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think something in the neighborhood of $5 million for Spence, $4.5 million for Crawford. They do 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Both guys are going to be very happy with what they make at the end of the day. You're talking about in the range of $10+ million that they're going to be able to take home. So hopefully it comes to fruition. Another thing that is slowing up the process is, first of all, Spence's last fight happened, September 16th. That was a little over 2 weeks ago. So, it's going to take a little time for them to get everything in order. But the PBC is still finalizing their summer schedule. They're still trying to lock down Andy Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz. That's going to be on pay-per-view, likely on Showtime pay-per-view. That fight's going to take place in August on the West Coast. I'm hearing maybe Carson, California, IA, in the old StubHub Center. I think they call it Dignity Health Park. So I hear that fight could take place in that venue, or maybe they put it on the Strip in Las Vegas. MGM Grand is one of the venues that I'm hearing being mentioned. So definitely on the West Coast. Danny Garcia is chomping in a bit to get back in the ring. They're trying to lock down an opponent for him. He's called out Keith one-time Thurman. Thurman is still trying to finagle his way into a Spence fight. He came out here recently and said that why don't I fight Crawford and the winner fight Spence? Still trying to keep his name in there because in all actuality, he really don't want to fight Crawford. He wants to go straight into the Spence fight. He wants to get 3 of those 4 belts. He wants to reclaim the status that he had before all those injuries as the top dog in the welterweight division. That's not going to happen. That's the plan B. If Spence and Crawford can't come to fruition, he's got to sit on the sideline and wait. That's just the bottom line. Worst case scenario, he gets a pay-per-view fight versus Danny Garcia for much less money, but still he'll be in a pay-per-view fight. Because one thing you don't want to be doing as a fighter, especially coming off a victory, you don't want to be in a pay-per-view fight and then win that fight, and then your next fight you're fighting on regular cable. That's letting people know that your fight on pay-per-view flopped. All these numbers that come out on the internet, on social media, people say the fight did this, the fight did that. Just see if that fighter fighting on pay-per-view in his next fight. That'll let you know if his last pay-per-view fight was successful. You hear what I'm saying? Gervonta Tank Davis haters saying that his fight flopped against Isaac Cruz. Now he's fighting Rolando Rolly Romero on Showtime pay-per-view, just like his last fight was, and just like the fight before that was on pay-per-view, just like the fight before that was on pay-per-view. He's showing you that he is a pay-per-view success. So Keith Thurman, I think he's going to have the right dance partner to be on pay-per-view in his next fight. I heard him call out Jonas. That fight's not going on pay-per-view. That's a regular Showtime fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's the latest and greatest as far as Terrence Crawford, a.k.a. Bud Crawford, taking on the truth and nothing but the truth, Spence Jr. They've been going back and forth on social media a couple of days ago. That was good to get everybody more and more excited about the potential matchup. But I'm here to tell you right now, just a couple of obstacles that need to be cleared for this mega fight and this mega event to finally go down. Let me know your thoughts about what I've stated here in this video about the negotiations and where we stand in negotiations between Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Bud Crawford. And do you feel that everything should be 50-50 straight down the line, the purse split and the guarantee minimum? Let me know your thoughts, even though Errol Spence Jr. has done much more in the welterweight division than Terrence Bud Crawford and holds 3 belts compared to the 1 belt that Terrence Crawford holds. Let me know your thoughts. Follow me on Twitter, JBsports3303. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.